All right, so this is page 15 in your packet. We are looking at understanding chemical equations. We've talked about chemical bonds, ionic or covalent. Now we're going to see when they react together, what do they produce, and how do I make sure that I've got an equation that is accurate. So in the equation, we have reactants that are placed together to react that then produce a product. In this reaction, we have a couple things, coefficients, subscripts that are on either side. We can never change our subscripts. It tells us how many atoms that are bound together in that element. For example, O2, 2 oxygens bound together. H2 is 2 hydrogens bound together. The coefficient tells us how many of that atom or molecule we have. So we can change these coefficients. We can't change the subscripts. Our products should always equal our reactants. What goes in must come out. So what we're going to do is we're going to count the atoms to decide is it balanced or not. So you're going to write the atoms on either side of the equation, on either side of this column. Reactants column and products column. We're going to count them, decide how many there are, and if it's balanced or not. So right here in number 2, I've got nitrogen and hydrogen on either side of the equation. I'm going to write N for nitrogen, H for hydrogen. Write them in the same order. Nitrogen, hydrogen. All right. On this side of the equation, I have 2 nitrogens, and I have 2 times 2 is 4 hydrogens. On this side of the equation, I have 1 nitrogen and 3 hydrogens. That means I have 4, 5, 6 atoms over here, and I have 4 atoms over here. This is not a balanced equation. So when we start balancing, we would need to go back here and add the correct coefficient. Okay, so Hg, mercury, and oxygen. Hg on the and oxygen on both sides, the reactants and the products. I have 1 Hg and 1 oxygen, 1 and 1, 2 total atoms. Over here, I have 1 Hg and 2 oxygens. That means I have 3 total atoms. This is not balanced. All right, now when we see the coefficient, it applies to everything it touches. So right here, you could imagine all of this is touching. There are no spaces. This 2 is going to apply to everything here. So right here, I have nitrogen and oxygen on either side. Nitrogen and oxygen. All right, 2 times 2 is 4 nitrogens. Right here, imagine I just have a coefficient of 1. 1 times 2 is 1. I'm sorry, 1 times 2 is 2 oxygens. That means on this side of the equation, I have 6 total atoms. Over here, 2 times 2 is 4 nitrogens. Don't forget the 2 also applies to the oxygen. Imagine there's a little 1 behind it. 2 times 1 is 2. I have 2 times 2 is 4 nitrogens and 2 oxygens. I have 6 total atoms. That means, yes, everything is equal. I have 4 nitrogens, 2 oxygens, and 2 oxygens. That is a balanced equation. All right, here on the left side, be sure you list all of the atoms. I have sodium, I have hydrogen, and oxygen. On the product, I have sodium, write them in the same order, even though they're not in the same order, hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, so for sodium, I have 1 here, I have 2 H's and 1 oxygen. That equals 1, 2, 3, 4 total atoms. Over here on the product side, I have 1 sodium, I have 1 oxygen, be sure you write it with oxygen, and I have 2 plus 1, 3 hydrogens. That means I have 5 atoms and it is not balanced. All right, let's flip to the back. These are a little more complicated. Okay, if we flip to the back, you're going to notice a lot more elements. Same concept, so don't let the number of them, get in the way. So we have, write your elements down first. Silicon, hydrogen, oxygen. Silicon, hydrogen, and oxygen. I have 4 times 2 is 8 silicons. I have 4 times 3 is 12 hydrogens. I have 11 times 2 is 22 oxygens. Over here, Things are separate, so be careful. I have 8 silicones. That's the only silicone I see. So I have 8 silicones. That's the same. Okay? For oxygen, notice 8 times 2 is 16 oxygens here. And then I also have 6. Okay? So if I have 16 plus 6, I have 22 oxygens. Notice that is equal. For hydrogen, 6 times 2 is 12. Okay, so I've got 8, 8, 12, 12, 22, 22. That is a balanced equation with 42 atoms on each side. All right, here I just have iron and oxygen. Iron and oxygen. I have 2 irons and 2 oxygens. I have 2 irons. Notice that 2 touches everything, and 2 oxygens. That means I have 4 total atoms, and it is a balanced equation. Same on both sides. Here I have phosphorus and oxygen, phosphorus and oxygen. 5 times 4 is 20. And then 2 times 2 is 4. I have 24 total atoms. Over here I have 2 phosphorus and 5 oxygen. That is only a total of 7. That is not balanced. I have one more oxygen over here and way less, 18 less phosphorus. I would need to go back and add coefficients to balance that equation. All right, here I have sodium, carbon, don't get confused about these being separate elements, they're both capital, oxygen, I'm going to write these separate so I have more room, hydrogen and chlorine. Write them in the same order. Sodium, carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and chlorine. Okay? I have 2 sodiums. I have 1 carbon right in the middle. I have 3 oxygens. I have 2 hydrogens and 2, remember it applies to everything, CLs. So if this were in parentheses, 2 hydrogens, 2 CLs. On this side, I have 2 sodiums. I have 2 chlorines. Be sure you write that in the chlorine spot. I have 2 H's. And I have 1 carbon. And I have oxygen. I got 1 oxygen here and 2 here. That's 3 oxygens. So notice, 2, 1, 3, 2, 2, 2, 1, 3, 2, 2. That means I have 10 on each side, and I am fully balanced. Yes. Now, for 10, I have iron, oxygen, and hydrogen. Iron, oxygen, and hydrogen. Okay, I have 2 irons. On this side, I'm going to switch over. I have 1 on this side. I have 3 oxygens right here. On this side, I only have 1. I have 2 hydrogens. And on this side, I have 2 hydrogens. So over here, I have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 total atoms. Here I have 2, 3, 4. That is not a balanced equation. It is not balanced. Okay, last 2. This one's a little trickier. I have carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen. Carbon, oxygen, hydrogen. On this side, I have carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, but I'm going to label them in the same way. Carbon, oxygen, hydrogen. Okay? So right now I see I have 6 carbon on this side. On this side, I have 6 carbon. I have 6 times 2 is 12 oxygen right here. And then here I have 6 more oxygen. So that would be 18 total oxygens. Over here, I have 6 oxygens, and 6 times 2 is 12. That is 18 oxygen. Then I have 6 times 2 is 12 hydrogen on that side. And on this side, I have 12 hydrogen. So I have 36 on each side. That is a balanced equation. Last one. This one's a lot. I've got iron, sulfur, oxygen, potassium, and hydrogen. Okay, so go through and write your atoms. Fe, S, O, K, and H. All right. Iron, I see 2 right here. On this side, I have 2 irons. That's it. Sulfur, I see 1 here, but there's a 3 out beside it. So imagine we're multiplying. 1 times 3 is 3. I have 3 sulfurs right here. If I go to this side, I have 1 sulfur right in the middle, but I have a coefficient out front. Okay, so imagine it's multiplied. 3 times 1 would be 3 sulfurs on that side. Oxygen. Right here I have 4 times 3 is 12 oxygen. 12 oxygens right there, and I have 3 right here, because remember that 3 goes to everything in it. So I have 3 oxygen right here. So on this side of the equation, I have 12, 13, 14, 15 oxygen. On this side of the equation, I have 3 times 4 is 12 oxygen. And look, I have 3 oxygen right here. Imagine 1 times 3. But there's a coefficient 2 in front of it. So I have 3 oxygen times 2 is 6. Okay, so I have 3 oxygens times 2 is 6 oxygens. Okay, so I have 12 here and 6 here. That would mean I had 18 oxygen. All right, potassium. Right here I see 3 potassiums. That's all I see. Right, 3 potassium. Over here I see 3 times 2 is 6 potassiums. Okay, hydrogen, last thing. I don't see any here. I have 3 hydrogens on this side, just 3. Over here, I see I have 3 hydrogens times 2 is 6. So what I'm going to do, last thing, I'm going to add all these up and see if it's balanced. I have 2 plus 3 plus 15 plus 3 plus 3. That gives me 26. I can already tell that I have 15 oxygens here and 18, so it is definitely not going to be balanced. But let's go ahead and add this other side up first. 2 times 3, no, not times, 2 plus 3 plus 18 plus 6 plus 6 is 35. This is not balanced. So what I want you to do is I want you to go back to your digital notebook, all right? And you are going to find the slides that I told you to do in the digital notebook, okay? The video's up there, and finish those.